Okay, so I did not think anything could make me laugh harder than when we found out exactly what Dorothy's real character was like a few chapters ago. But then we get today's chapter, and I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. Oh man, Charmy, of all characters, you can always count on Charmy to be the comedic relief in a situation. Even in a serious situation like this, even when she's being serious, you can still count on her to make you laugh. Like, it got to the point where I had to reread the chapter right before I did the review, because the only thing I could think about was how funny Charmy was during the chapter. Hey, what's up, guys? Alright, so right at the start of the chapter, we got comedy starting off with Charmy just stealing the show by running away from Wille's attacks, freaking out about what's going on right now. She tells Asta and Mimosa that she was entering the castle with Yuno and that somehow they got separated, and she's not exactly sure how she ended up in this situation. Which, by the way, now, just a quick note, now that Asta knows that Yuno is inside the castle, I'm guessing once they beat Will, his next objective will be to find Yuno. That's just a guess of mine. I assume anyway that's gonna be his objective. I think maybe he will actually continue on with his journey of trying to defeat the captains or all the other elves inside. But I think subconsciously his main objective will be to find Yuno and team up with him in this fight. But anyway, back to Charmy, who, like I said, stole the show from the beginning of the chapter. Alright, so we got Will freaking out right now because of the fact that he wants to use his magic to kill Asta, Mimosa, and now Charmy. And so in order to do that, he has to draw these like horrific, like ugly creatures to attack them. But at the same time, he wants to draw something like more artistic, more beautiful. And in his head, it's kind of like contradicting each other. He can't let it. He can't really figure out a way to make it mesh together so he can draw something beautiful and kill them at the same time. And while he's freaking out about that, Charmy, what does Charmy do? What is the one thing that Charmy has done throughout the entire series? She goes up to him and offers him a plate of food. She literally just goes up to him like the same classic pose that same classic face that she always puts on when she's offering someone food. She literally just hands him a plate of food. It's like, here, chill out, have some food. And that should have been something I had an issue with. That should have been something like, hey, Charmy, what are you doing? You're offering your mana replenishing food to your enemy, the guy who's literally trying to kill you right now. Why are you doing this? But at the same time, it's like, Charmy, what the fuck? Like, you can't help but laugh at that situation right there. Now, of course, Lil, wanting nothing to do with humans, knocks the food out of her hands, pisses Charmy off. She instantly gets mad, like she usually does when someone wastes food or tries to steal her food from her. Sends her giant sheep after him, and then Lil just decimates her. Like, literally with a stroke of a brush, he sends her and her giant sheep flying in the air. And she lands down. She actually is very badly damaged in this part of the chapter. Like, I honestly thought Charmy might be out for the count. Like, I was questioning when I read this part of the chapter. I was like, all right, why would you bring her in just to be taken out this easily? There has to be something going on. Like, she has to be getting up with some kind of like new power, like some kind of new special attack. And yeah, it turns out I was right. Charmy gets up with a brand new power that completely catches us all off guard. Like, I cannot think of anybody who can honestly say they saw this coming with her character. So what we end up finding out in this chapter is that Charmy is actually a dwarf, or at least half dwarf. Which we also end up finding out that dwarves, just like elves, were an ancient race who were supposed to have incredible magic powers. Now, it's actually kind of interesting because in most literature, when it comes to dwarves, they're usually seen as short, like Charmy was, even though in her dwarf form, she's actually taller than Asta. Actually, I think I would say about the same size as Vanessa. But yeah, she actually, despite being a dwarf, has incredible magic abilities. Which, like I said, in most literature, dwarves usually aren't able to use magic. They can use magic items, but they usually can't use magic themselves. So it's kind of interesting the fact that we're kind of changing that a little bit in this series, was the fact that even though she is a dwarf, she can still use magic. Now, what's also interesting is the fact that we end up finding out that her giant sheep that she usually calls in to attack, we end up finding out that sheep is literally a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like, literally, it tears apart from the middle, and we end up finding out that the giant sheep she's been using to attack this entire time, when she's in her dwarf form, turns into a wolf. And that wolf does nothing but eat magic. Like, literally, Will sends attack after attack at her, and the wolf just starts devouring her left and right, to the point where it's eating the magic faster than Will can actually send out his magic attacks. So what we also end up finding out in the chapter, which is something that I don't think we were ever hinted to before, but apparently was kind of like something that was a rumor or a legend inside the lore of the actual world, is the fact that mixed breeds, like how Charmy is a mixed breed of a dwarf and a human, mixed breeds usually hold two types of magical abilities, which obviously in this case for Charmy, her normal human self has con magic, which we always see with her sheep and her basically using her con magic to capture people, stuff like that. But in her dwarf form, it seems that she has something called meal magic, which we don't really know the extent of what that can do. All we see in this chapter is that basically her meal magic lets her wolf eat magical attacks from her opponents, and it transfers that magic into power for herself, and lets her turn that into power into physical strength, which I guess kind of goes with the whole dwarf aesthetic, because like I said, usually dwarves can't use magic. So, well, her wolf's eating the magical attacks from her opponent and sending it to her, she's not actually turning it into magical attacks herself. She's just using that magic to boost her own strength and then go and physically attack her opponents. Man, I gotta say, Charmy is not a character I usually cared that much about. I mean, I always found her cute. She was a little interesting. She was always, funny, good comedic relief for situations where things are getting a little too serious. But after this chapter, she just opened up so many things. Like, I want to know more about her backstory. I want to learn more about the dwarves in this series, because we didn't know dwarves existed in the series before now. I mean, we always had people calling Asta a dwarf, but we never actually had confirmation that dwarves were actually an existing race from the past. And now that we know that they did exist at one point and they were, creatures who had magical power on par with elves, I would like to see more of that. I like to see, get the history of that. That's just another new arc that we have to get in the series before it ends. Like, we have to have an arc going to the Diamond Kingdom. We have to have an arc focusing on all the other kingdoms that we haven't even seen yet, and we have to find out more about the dwarves. That's something that we have to do before the series ends. But yeah, like I said, guys, Charmy definitely stole the show in this chapter. The chapter ends with basically her attacking Wille. She hits him 3 times, each time using like a different word for food. Like, she tells him that he needs to get more protein, he needs to get more fat, and I think the last one was carbohydrates. So yeah, she basically just attacks him. I doubt the fight's over just yet. I'm sure we're gonna focus on it again next chapter. Which, by the way, I didn't mention this, but this is actually exactly how I wanted it to go. I wanted us to basically have this chapter to focus on the fight. I was hoping it would end in this chapter, but I'm willing to do one more chapter after how great this chapter was. So yeah, one more chapter to focus on this fight, finish it off, and then we get to see Noelle versus Fauna, the fight I've been waiting for out of all the fights we've seen so far. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the chapter. That's it for the review. Thanks for watching, guys. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, drop me a like, subscribe to the channel. I greatly appreciate it. Comment down below your thoughts and theories, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.